Hello there, Cathy Bramley here. Welcome to another episode of Curl Up with Cathy. Today in my treehouse, I'm very, very delighted to welcome an author whose books I've been reading for a long, long time. She's got all sorts of incredible stories to tell us. She's a journalist as well. She's done all sorts of things with her life. And I'm delighted to introduce you to Fiona Gibson, who's going to appear on my screen. Here she is. Hello, Fiona.
Hi, Cathy. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I've just finished a book, actually, so I've got that kind of sense of huge relief. He's such a nice feeling.
Yeah,
and I've got about another week before it comes back to me for edits, so it's just been brilliant, actually. I had to beg for a bit of extra time on it because it's kind of hard to concentrate, as everybody is finding at the moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's gone, so I'm a happy woman.
So is that your next one that will be out next year, will it be?
It is. It's out. It is coming out in March 2021. So I have the luxury now of nearly a year before I submit another one.
Wow.
Which sounds like I've not had that timescale for years, actually, because I've been doing just a bit less than 2 a year.
Yeah.
And it's been, because I was writing under another name as well, Ellen Berry. And I've decided I just kind of would like a bigger space, a bigger time span, because it's been, I always kind of hit the skids towards the end and have to write like a complete maniac. And I'd like to take a little bit more time, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you going to just write under your name going forward then, do you think?
Yes, for now, yes.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know what it's like. You don't really know how things are going to pan out with books. It's all so unpredictable, especially at the moment.
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah. I just feel really lucky to have a contract, to know what my work is going to be for at least for the next year. I know kind of what's expected of me, which I realise is a lucky position,
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about your new book that only came out very recently, didn't it? When Life Gives You Lemons, which is an absolutely brilliant title. Did you come up with that title?
No, it was my editor's title. Most of my titles, I always submit one, but they usually get kind of like swept quietly aside. In fact, and I've got a magazine background, so I'm used to writing cover lines, and I'm used to kind of headlines and things. And I always thought I was quite good at titles, actually. But I realise it's really different with books, with marketing, and my books tend to be in supermarkets, so they have to be very grabby and not really very plays on words and things don't really work so well. They've got to be really quite shouty. And I fought for one, actually, a few books ago, and it's one of the ones that did probably less well in recent years. So I'm kind of quite happy for marketing and my editor to kind of cook up a really good title.
Yeah.
And they've done well, so I figure they know what they're doing. So I actually can't remember what my original title. No, I can't remember what I wanted to call it. I thought When Life Gives You Lemons it's slightly different for me, because a lot of my books were like the mum who, up to left.
Yeah, the woman who. Yeah.
And I think they were maybe sounding a little bit too similar after the last one, which was the mum who got her life back. So it was time for something a little bit different.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about this story then.
Right. So it's about a woman called Viv who she feels like the oldest mum at the school gates, because she had a child in her 40s. The relationship with her husband's obviously not going very well, and very early on she discovers that he has been seeing somebody else on the sly, and the marriage kind of ends. So it's really a book about her she's approaching 50, and it's about her getting her life back on track and actually having a whole new lease of life, and a whole new chapter opens up for her, kind of via her bunch of close girlfriends. She's got a bit of a dead end sort of job in Glasgow. She works for a company that makes kind of pellet snacks that go on to other companies to get puffed with air or coloured and dyed and flavoured. It's like a sort of the least artisan sort of food company you can imagine. She's got a bunch of girlfriends and an older friend called Penny, who had a very successful fashion chain in the 70s, which was a bit like the sort of Chelsea girl of the day,
I used to
Topshop.
work for Chelsea Girl.
Did you? Well, it's sort of based kind of on that sort of idea. In the 70s, it was massive, started in Glasgow, but Penny, although eccentric and brilliant in her floppy hats and flares and ponchos, was a terrible businesswoman, so the business failed.
Yeah.
But Penny is now 70 or thereabouts, and she and Viv, my main character, have this quite unlikely friendship. They just ran into each other in the park because Penny walks her dog every day. And the friendship is what kind of leads Viv into a whole new life. So Penny
I love the fact that it's an older person that is leading her. So even though she feels like the oldest mum at the gates, it's not a younger woman that leads her forward, it's an older woman. That's quite a good, I like that ploy.
Yeah, she's got friends of different sort of ages. She has got a younger friend who's a life coach who's also quite inspirational, but it's kind of the main gist of it is Penny, who's quite a difficult character and quite spiky. It's very much a book about women's friendships, actually. That's how it kind of turned out. And there is kind of romance in it because I'm in that romantic comedy niche. So kind of has to be a romantic thread in it. But I would say it's really the gist is about women pulling each other through kind of thing. And there's a lot of I loved writing the menopausal humour because that felt like there's so much to write about there. You know, Viv's husband who cheats on her is actually a doctor who specialises in hormonal kind of issues. Endocrinologist, I think is the word. And she's so frustrated with him because he won't help her. She's like, do you think I should go on HRT? And he's like, oh, I don't know, maybe you should ask a doctor. And she's like, well, you are the doctor.
I did. Yeah.
You're like 2 feet away from me. Yeah. So the whole discovering a big hair sticking out your face, all those things was a lot of fun to write about, actually. Me and my friends talk about nothing else.
Have you found that your heroines have moved through life stages as you've moved? Like, obviously you had young children, then you've older children, and sort of now almost an empty nester almost. So how have you found that your fiction has reflected your own stages in life?
Very much. My first novel was published about 17 years ago, and it was called Babyface. And it's not really the kind of stuff I'm doing now, but it was about the baby stage. And you know what it's like with children? It's like you're really interested in the stage you're at, but the stage you've left behind has no interest for you whatsoever. It's like you've kind of just discarded it and set it aside. You kind of moved on. And I do like writing about the here and now. There's just so much material. So the book before, the Mum Who Got Her Life Back, was about empty nesters, because I thought, suddenly this single mum is on her own and she can start having some kind of, fun without her kids spying on her every move sort of thing. So, it definitely has. The books have kind of grown up with me, and I hope with the readers as well, because some of the readers, I get emails from people saying, oh, I used to read you in just 17 or more, or I've got this magazine background, and it's kind of really nice that they remember, the difference that we've kind of come up through the stages together.
Nice.
So my characters, I like writing at the moment about women at that sort of life stage, late 40s into 50s, kids either hanging on at home and managing that. I'm just plotting a new one, actually, and I was thinking that might be quite fun to write about the kids who just haven't left and they're still there at 24. I've never written about that, actually. That could be quite
about
fun.
The woman who got her life back and then lost it again.
And the kids came back. Exactly. We're back. Well, the situation we're back, actually, I've got, our daughter is back home. We were empty nesters and Erin's back home, which actually is really, really nice. There's 3 of us. We've got 2 sons as well, and they're in lockdown in their own flats with their girlfriend. They're perfectly happy. So I like writing about the stage I'm in. there's
Yeah.
always material there, isn't
Yeah.
there? Because you can think, what, just all the details that fill out a scene, like the description of a bedroom, a teenager's bedroom. It's right there in front of you.
Yeah. I remember when you got your dog as well. Didn't you then write Pedigree Mum? Was that one
Yes,
after your
yes.
dog? Or you got your dog? So yeah, you do
Actually,
literally right. What should I do now? I know, I'll
yeah,
get a dog, and then I can write about it.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, it's
I
very
do.
good.
I absolutely milk everything, every stage where we go through.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Because ideas aren't really hard to come by. I don't think. Do you? It's like.
I've always got like the big idea, but it's like how to fill that out into an entire story. So I've got a couple of little snippets at the moment, but I need to sit down and think, right, okay, what's the whole novel going to be?
Yeah.
But yes, I can do the individual scenes, particularly where it involves the children or elderly people. Because I can always do that, and I love to have an older person in my books as well. But yeah, so I know what you mean. There's plenty of ideas. For me, it's just getting them, expanding them into a novel-sized piece
Yes,
of work.
and I think it's kind of, what is this about? Because there is the storyline, or there's sort of the kind of vague premise of the book, but it's like, what is this really about? What's going to carry this for 100,000 words?
Yeah.
Is it about a woman rediscovering herself? Is it about escaping family life, running away from, what's the gist? Is it about being an empty nester and the freedom that brings, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think it's that kind of the about that. Once I've discovered that, and that takes a bit of percolation time, I think.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Interesting. Yes. Tell us a little bit about your art, Fiona, because I know that you're just as keen an artist as you are a writer.
I've always loved drawing and painting ever since I was a kid, but it kind of fell by the wayside as I started working as a young woman, and then had a family in my 30s, and the only art I did was really with the kids. And then kind of I started digging out old sketchbooks again about 5 years ago, and had the gut to it's on Facebook. And people were so kind and so encouraging about them that I started drawing loads as a bit of an antidote to writing, because I'm just like, it's the time I was sort of writing books really full on. Our kids had gone to university. I needed to up my productivity work-wise, and I found that drawing was a really lovely kind of de-stressor for that, a real antidote to books. So yeah, it's been lovely, actually. I started doing little drawings for charity because I did the London Marathon last year. So I raised my charity, my sponsorship, through drawing Mother's Day cards and dog portraits.
I've got one. We've got one of Pearl. Yeah.
So yes.
It's on our bedroom wall, and in fact, on the other wall, the other side of the bed, is going to be the piece that I bought. That's of the turquoisey blue one that you did.
Oh, the landscape.
Yeah. So that's going to go there as well. So yes, we have.
Yes, and I have another one to do.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know you're waiting for another one. It's just a really nice thing to do, and I've done a few art courses. I mean, I can't go to college. I can't, I've got a full-time job writing books, so I agree, or I'd like to do it. But what I'm doing is sort of piecing it together with art courses on holiday, like at the St Ives School of Painting. Me and my husband have been down there and just had a lovely time.
Because he's an artist as well, isn't he? He's very creative.
He paints a lot. It's been lovely. We've been to courses in the Highlands, and it's just something it's a whole new thing for me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a nice thing to be able to. It's still creative, but it's completely different. Probably uses a completely different part of the brain from writing, I guess.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's I think they kind of complement each other. I find writing quite intensive. I'm sure
Yeah.
you do the same.
It takes a
Because
lot of
you're not
mental
just
energy.
obviously just typing, you're inventing it. Loads, yeah. I mean, I find after about 3 hours, I'm pretty done in, you know, and then I'll need to have a big break before I do another slew of writing later in the day. And a break can be a walk with the dog, or it could be a bit of painting. It's a real, like, it's very refreshing. It's that sort of flow activity where you're just involved, aren't you, in the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very different to writing.
But you're quite into food as well, aren't you? Because you do, when you're away, you take lots of pictures of food markets, and we get to see some of the dishes you've created as well. So you are actually very visual, I think, in your nature is a very visual nature. Would you agree?
Yeah, I probably would actually. Yeah, I think I've always been like that. My dad was a photographer. He's not working now, but he was an architectural photographer, and so I kind of grew up. He was self-employed, and he'd take me along all these trips to photograph buildings and all sorts of stuff. So he worked on magazines himself as a young man. And I always loved magazines, and probably that is because of partly the visual, the beauty of magazines and what a kind of visual kind of treat they are.
Yeah.
So I have always loved that kind of side of things. And I think with when I'm writing fiction, I picture very, when you're writing a scene, you can picture that scene. You can picture the beach they're walking on, or what the characters look like. And I like to draw sort of little cartoony people of my characters and stuff.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it helps
nice.
to kind of, in the notebooks, the copious notebooks I've got, when a book's in progress, there's usually drawings of the characters.
Oh, that's fantastic. I don't do that. I am so not artistic. I can't draw anything. But
I absolutely think anybody can, really. My husband hadn't drawn or painted until about 2 years ago, when we were in Cornwall. We were in St Ives. We love Cornwall, and we happened to walk by this school of painting, and it said places available tomorrow. I think it was a single day, or I think it was a 1-day course. And I said, oh, go on, let's do it. It was real fun. And we just booked in and did it. And he was the best in the class. It was about abstracts from landscapes, and the tutor was like, everybody look at Jimmy's paintings, and it was kind of like, well, he's the best. Get him, stuff him up outside.
fantastic.
Yeah, and the food thing, I never cooked anything till I had children, and suddenly I had to, it's like you have to suddenly provide food for the family. You're expected to kind of
day after day.
Yeah, and it was like, thank God for Jamie Oliver. I used to buy spaghetti bolognese in tins or boxes from Marks and Spencer's, like cartons, and put that out for friends. I could not, when Jimmy met me, I had in my fridge a block of cheese and a bottle of vodka. I was the most undomesticated person.
Brilliant.
But I kind of like food now. I do. It's lovely after a day of writing. Just go and cook something.
Oh, well, listen, we are struggling with our signal a bit. So I'm going to say thank you so much, Fiona, for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure. Good luck with your next book. I look forward to hearing more about that. And I wish you all the best, and enjoy your time with your daughter.
Thanks,
while
Cathy.
she's still at home. Take care. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thank you.
I can't find my button.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, Fiona Gibson there. Apologies for the. I've got really duff Wi-Fi today. I do apologise. It's one of those things at the moment, I'm afraid. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back really soon with another of your favourite authors. Bye for now.